morning everybody, and welcome to Hope Lift. This is the segment in the service when we talk to people about their faith journey, about how they came to Jesus and the difference that Jesus has made in their life. And Hazel has asked me to do it this week, so I'm going to be interviewing myself actually, because Andrew's gone all camera shy, so there you go. And I've got some notes with me here because, well, I'd like to say it's baby brain, but I think it's more like grandma brain really. Okay, so here we go. First question Hazel asked was, how was your life before you met Jesus? So I was brought up in a very loving Christian family. I was really privileged. My parents both real followers of Jesus, and not only them, but many people in my wider family, both sets of grandparents were as well. So I had this privilege of growing up with people who really loved Jesus, and you could see it in the way that they lived. It made a difference to them. One of my early memories of my great aunt was her standing at the ironing board, and as she would iron the family's clothes, she would be learning the Psalms as she went along, and she had such a lovely look on her face, and even as a young child that really struck me, and I knew it made a difference in the way that she lived. When I was very young, my parents took us to what was effectively a church plant on a rough estate in Plymouth, and my early memories are of a very big Sunday school and youth work, and there we were taught about God's love for us and his grace to us. Because I grew up seeing God's love in action through many of my adults at that time, that was really very appealing. When did you decide to follow Jesus? Well, I made that decision when I was only 9. Like I said, I had many people in my life who obviously genuinely loved God, and I could see that this was for real. It wasn't just simply another lifestyle choice, and because of that I knew that this was the right way to go. And also, even at such a young age, I was well aware that when I did things that were wrong, and I was a bit of a toe rag at that age apparently, according to Mum, when I did stuff that was wrong, I knew that that saddened God, and I knew it was creating a barrier between me and the Lord, and I didn't want that. Even at the age of 9, I knew I wanted the joy and freedom that God brings through his forgiveness for our sin, and I didn't want to settle for anything less. So, third question, what is my life like now that I'm following Jesus? Well, I'm 54 now, so I'll leave you to work out how long I've been a Christian. I can truthfully say I've never once regretted that decision. In fact, it's the most important decision that I've ever made. Jesus is more precious to me than anyone or anything. Like everybody, I've had my fair share of tough stuff and happier times, but Jesus has walked me through all of it. He's never left me. He always loves me, and he has always forgiven me when I've done things that are wrong. Looking back, I can see many ways in which he's answered the many prayers I've prayed over the years, although very often he hasn't answered them in the way I thought he would have done. He's led and guided me and given me peace and even joy through the many different seasons of life. Can I think of a time when Jesus brought hope into a seemingly hopeless situation? Well, yes, many times. But often those situations have involved other people, and so stuff is personal to them, so I can't share everything. I'll just share 2 things. In 2013, I found my husband lying unconscious on the floor of our house. He was rushed into hospital and spent quite a few hours in the resuscitation area whilst doctors worked on him, struggling to stabilise him. In those hours when we didn't know what was wrong at all, and what was going to happen to Andrew, I prayed, and I put my hands in my pocket, and out of my pocket I pulled the church news sheet for the week that had just gone, and the verse for that week was incredibly precious to me. That verse came from Psalm 94, and it's verse 18, and this is a reading, how it reads in the New International Version. When I said, my foot is slipping, your unfailing love, Lord, supported me. So I knew that God was speaking to me through that Bible verse. I knew then that even if my precious husband wasn't going to make it, My Saviour wasn't going to leave me. He was promising me that he was going to love me and support me no matter what. And secondly, my wonderful, faithful earthly dad, with his slightly mad sense of humour, he died at the beginning of December last year. In those last days before he died, as a family, we were very privileged. We were able to keep him at home with the blessing of the GP and the emergency response team. And we were able to nurse him ourselves. So my mum and my two brothers and my husband Andy nursed him between them. To lose a parent, even at 54, is incredibly painful. But it's very hard, and all my siblings and the rest of the family will agree with me, it's very hard to have the words to describe the hope and the peace and joy that flooded that room in which he was dying in the last few days of his life. We had the privilege of sharing some of his favourite scriptures with him, and also some of his favourite hymns. And whilst he had the strength, he would join in with a few words that he could say. He told us that he knew he was safe in the arms of Jesus. That was the day before he died. On the morning that he died, my older brother shared with us the daily reading that he'd had for that day. And it was this, it was from Psalm 116 verse 15, and it reads like this: "Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints." The Lord was speaking to us so clearly. Although it was and is painful to lose him, we know that death was not the end for our dad. Our mourning isn't a hopeless mourning. Death is swallowed up in victory because of what Jesus has done. Dad has been welcomed into the presence of the Lord in the most amazing of homecomings, an event that God was kind enough to tell us was actually precious to him. Death hasn't had the last word. Death is swallowed up in victory, and the future is a hope that is steadfast and certain. One day, those of us who know and love Jesus will be with him in heaven. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.